Yesterday, Kenya's President William Ruto reshuffled his foreign service, where he transferred and appointed new ambassadors to a number of countries. The new appointments also swept the current Secretary General, Dr. Peter Mathuki, away from the Arusha-based East African Community to Moscow in Russia as a new ambassador. President Ruto appointed Caroline Mwende as Mathuki's replacement in Arusha. Dr. Mathuki has been the Secretary General for the East African Community for close to 3 years and was due to complete his 5-year term of office. This is the first time that the head of state withdraws a Secretary General from the office, which has set a precedent for the 23-year-old community. Mathuki's withdrawal from the community, pending approval for his ambassadorial appointment, comes as he faces allegations of financial misappropriation by a section of EAC legislators.
Over $6 million that has been collected, in as far as I'm concerned, that money has been spent and has never gone through appropriation.
On Tuesday this week, President William Ruto addressed the Regional Assembly currently holding its sittings in Nairobi. But on Wednesday, the legislators debated the president's speech in which they accused Mathuki of mismanaging funds of the community.
And it has been squandered by none other than the Secretary General of this community.
So if a member has presented here evidence about fraud, about incompetence, about things which are not going out well,
I want to urge the Honorable Minister from Kenya to urge His Excellency, President Ruto, and the government of Kenya and the summit that is not too late to liberate East African community.
It's not clear whether President Ruto based his decision on the allegations of the EAC MPs who were calling for Mathuki's resignation. But the legislators tabled what they claimed was their evidence against Dr. Mathuki, and the Speaker, Joseph Ntakirutimana, promised to study the allegations.
Honorable Speaker, I have another evidence to produce before this assembly of an amount of money to close to 31,000 that has paid to an individual illegally recruited to this community when the position was filled by substantive staff.
And I haven't even read them. As you members, as Honorable Mary is complaining, even me, this is the first time I am given these documents.
these documents have been forwarded to the House, and it becomes a property of the House. It could have been better that it's committed to the relevant committee to investigate.
We have to make sure that resources are properly utilized. Resources are very limited and it must be properly utilized. And people must account for the resources that they have been given. Honorable Speaker.
So how do you address the question of governance if you cannot address the issue of corruption?
Honorable Speaker, we are diverting so much to discuss an honorable member of this House. And you cannot discuss an honorable member without bringing a substantive motion.
Mathuki, who also attended the sitting, chose to remain silent about the accusations and concentrated on the address of the President.
Honorable Speaker, I want to thank His Excellency the President for not only giving a very great speech, but also for giving a strategic view on how he foresees our community.
Right, Honorable Speaker, if this matter is not taken into consideration, the excellent speech given by His Excellency President Ruto will fall into River Nile.
Following this development, the summit currently chaired by South Sudan President Salva Kiir is expected to call for an extraordinary summit to take a final decision on Mathuki and his successor. Despite the accusations against Dr. Mathuki, the outgoing office holder has expanded the community to 8 member states, with DRC and Somalia, who joined recently.
But also wish to inform you that the federal government of Somalia deposited their instruments with the Secretary General 2 days ago. And therefore now, Mr. Speaker, the next sitting, or possibly the coming sittings, you'll be bigger, you'll be having a bigger voice, because you'll be having members of this assembly coming from the Federal Republic of Somalia.
Dr. Mathuki, who is the second Kenyan to occupy the Secretary General's seat after Francis Mutharura, previously served as the EAC Member of Parliament and later as the Executive Director of the East African Business Council, among other regional responsibilities. Mathuki is remembered for spearheading a group of Yara MPs in the Third Assembly who censored the Speaker Margaret Zua and replaced her with Dan Fred Kidega. Jingo Francis, NTV.